All right. Happy New Year. Mic's on. I think we're good to go. So, I was watching this yesterday, and there's all sorts of interesting characters and things we can model. I think I've only actually seen this clip right here. This is all I've seen, whistling and turning this little dial. I don't think I've ever actually watched the whole thing, but there's all sorts of cool stuff we can model in here. So, I don't know. Let's see if we can't burn through these characters real quick. I think we get a kind of a freebie. Not really. I guess Mickey and Minnie are very similar character sheets, so we'll maybe model both of those. So texture import, and we're gonna grab some model sheets. I'm just gonna load up this model sheet here. Load it up. I'm gonna scale it up. So I was just adding it to spotlight in here, and texture, there's a little plus sign. You can bring in any texture image and then go in here to the plus sign, and we can load up any image in here. So we got Steamboat. This, I don't know that his name is Steamboat Willie, but so here's a mouse type character. This is going to give us our proportions. So we're going to go in here to Sphere 3D. So just go in here to the palette, grab a Sphere 3D, drag it out on your canvas, go in here to edit mode. John Yu, Happy New Year. New year, new organization. So I usually end up going to here for resources. So on my YouTube channel now, it took me so long to do this. I don't know why. Right at the very top, this is for you section. I don't know what that's going to look like for y'all, but there's ZRemesh What's New playlist. Here's all the ZRemesh What's New stuff. And I think if you go to, I think if you go to the very end of that, there, you know what? I need to put the intro to ZRemesh. Oh, there it is. Intro to ZRemesh new and updated. Here's the Real Illusion character playlist we've been playing around with lately. Livestream full episodes here. So you can go through here and you can just say play all, or you can actually click on here and that'll take you to the big old long list of all the live streams we've done. The ones I've recorded here on Pixelogic's channel and the one on my channel, all right here. So that's a little more organized, yay. And then on my ArtStation page, ZRemesh What's New, well, here's everything. And then here's ZRemesh What's New, all the What's New stuff plus the intro. Here's the Real Illusion character creator stuff. Here's all my live streams that I've put on ArtStation and some presentation stuff. So how cool is that? Sorry it took me so long. Yes, Happy New Year. That's dark blue on light blue. Kung Fury. Let me put this on here. And again, these are just resources for y'all. We'll call back to this. I just want to get those links out there early. So anyway, you know, right off the bat, here we've got a ship playing. We got the big stovepipes over here, and then the little whistles over here. Just for a fun warm-up exercise, we can go ahead and we'll model some of these things. So real quickly, we got 3 different sizes, and then as they, you know, kind of the classic squash and stretch animation, you know, these things get bigger and fatter as they go down to preserve their volume, and then they stretch out. And you can actually do that in ZRemesh, and it's actually kind of fun. So, you know, we were going to start off with this, but I think we'll start off. I'm going to change my mind. We'll always switch Control N. We'll get back to that. So let's hop in here. We'll grab a cylinder, drag it on our canvas, go here in edit mode. We'll turn on polyframe over here. That's Shift F, and you'll see that this is a white polyframe. That means it's in a primitive state. So we can go down here and go to our initialize. And if you wanted to do, like, you know, instead of 32, you could do like 16 or 12, and then V divides, you can turn that all the way down, whatever you want to do. In this case, we can really just kind of keep it at the defaults. It doesn't really matter because we're going to be changing the topology anyway. We can just hop right up here and say make polymesh 3D. This will allow us to sculpt on the object here. I'm also going to switch this out to Skin Shader 4 so you can see it a little bit better. So we got a random cylinder here. So let's hit E or WER on our keyboard to go into gizmo mode. And we'll scale this out to whatever size whistle. And again, this is what we're modeling real quick, whatever size whistle you want. And I'm just going to go in here to Subtool. We're going to append a cube. Grab that cube, hit W, and then hold down Shift and just rotate that not 50 degrees, 45 degrees. There it is. I don't know if you can see that number. It's kind of light, but it's down there. We're just going to take a little chunk out of this whistle here. In fact, I want to kind of keep it in the middle, so I'm going to hold down Alt and then tap this reset so it goes straight, and then I can move this forward. So now we have this cutting through. I'm going to actually scale it out just a bit, and there we go. So I want this to be I'm going to end up rebuilding this geometry. So I'm going to go down here to poly groups, and we're going to say group by normals. Actually, is my audio okay? I assume everybody can hear me. Hello, Luell. So we have polygroups on all these sides here. Also, what I like to do is I'm going to turn on X symmetry, but you're going to see we're kind of turned off to the left. So we're going to fix that after we do this live Boolean operation. So two things I want to do. You can see this is kind of faceted here. I'm going to go down here to my geometry crease, and we're going to say crease PG. And then we're going to hit D to turn on dynamic, which is going to turn on this little dynamic button. We'll say always yes. And that's going to go ahead and it's going to crease our polygroups here, you know, the top and the bottom here. And then it's going to give us a nice smooth result. That's going to be important when we rebuild this. This one I don't care about too much. It's just a cube sitting here. So I'm going to say you are a subtractive. So this little dot right there. As a subtractive Boolean, we're going to turn on live Boolean in an interface, and now I can move this in and out. And again, we're just going to take a big old chunk out of this shape right here. So now that we have this result, we can go down here to our subtool Boolean, and we can say dynamic subdivision, turn that on because we do have dynamic subdivision on for this to make it nice and smooth looking. It's not really nice and smooth. You can hit Shift D to turn dynamic off. You'll see it'll toggle that button. D turns it on, Shift D turns it off. And we're going from faceted to not faceted. But if I say, with this selected, dynamic subdivision, make Boolean mesh, that's going to put a U mesh out here. So if I select that one and then turn on polyframe, you see this is the result we get. Not great geometry, right? But we can fix that. So again, if I turn on X or tap X on my keyboard, that turns on symmetry underneath transform. It activates symmetry in the X direction. We can change that. So if I turn on my floor here, you'll see he's pointing X forward, the whistle is. Z forward's where we really want to be. So I can either go in here and say, okay, let's switch this from X to Z, or I can keep it on X, and then just in here, I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. So now he's X forward, and we're now Z forward, X side to side, Y up. And that's what I'm going to do. So we have X symmetry turned on. I'm going to do a geometry. I'm going to show you this once. Geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld across the X. I'm going to use my custom menu now. We're just going to make sure that geometry is the same on all sides. So now I have X symmetry on this whistle. Now I'm going to go to ZRemesher. We're going to say, let's say half, keep groups, smooth groups down to 0. The groups are already smooth. We slice through that with a Boolean. Then we'll hit ZRemesher, and that'll give us new geometry. Not great geometry. Let's see if we can't say, I'm going to do same. Oh, we'll do half, but do adapt the size down to 0. And I'm also using my custom menu for this. And then we can even keep hitting half, and that'll give us kind of like a decent low res geo. And in fact, if we want this to be hollow, we can hold down Control Shift and tap this green, and then geometry modify topology, delete hidden, which is again geometry modify topology, somewhere in here. There you go, delete hidden. And now we got our little whistle thing here, and then we're going to hover over a face with our Z modeler brush, BZM, hover over a face, hold down spacebar, Q mesh, polygroup all. We'll push this in, and then we got to go down here to display properties, flip, and now I got a little whistle guy. And then as he can, so let's go back here. Now, as these things are doing their little whistle thing, they're going down and preserving their volume. So when you squash something, it has to get fatter. And then when you stretch something, it gets thinner, right? I think there's a couple things we can use for that. We can go in here to the gear icon, and I want to say like maybe bend curve will do that for us. I'm going to go in here to, I think anchor brushes or bend curve might be our best bet. So if I take this top one here and just move it up, I can stretch it out, and then I can hit W. Now, in order to thin this out just in the middle, I can grab this one and I can grab the scale and I can kind of thin it out like this. So that way, as it's stretching out, it's getting thin. So that worked. And let's see if the opposite will work too. Let's go ahead and say I'm going to squash this down and then fatten it up. So again, we'll hit W, and that'll bring back our bend curve. And again, I just did our resolution slider here. So you can put as many dots in here as you want, and you can bend this around and just grab these dots. So if we just have a handful, so we can go through here and we can kind of move and squash, and there's these cone options. You can scale you can squeeze in one direction, and then you can twist with these. We're just using scale, obviously. And I'm also keeping this very simple. We're just going to have 3 dots. So again, we're going to hit W to switch back to gizmo mode. We're going to squash this down. We're going to go hit W again to go back into our bend curve mode. And then since we squashed, we want to grab this one. Ah, dang. Well, we can always scale it first. So we can go through here and just scale that middle one out. And then we can hit W and then we can squash it down. Now, since we are just scaling the middle and kind of having it fall off, like a taper fall off, we may even be able to use taper. In fact, it looks like we can. Let me see, front, back. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe not taper. You could probably use masking and scaling and stuff like that. But let's try anchor brushes. So, let's see. Can I? Ooh, this will be interesting too because I don't know that I can put an anchor brush right in the middle because I have to be able to click on the object. I was thinking we could use an anchor brush because, let's see, B-A-N is anchor brush. And so with anchor brushes, there is an inflate in here. So you can tap inflate, then you can just tap, one dot and then another dot. And then you can, inflate the top, or you can go through here and you can inflate the bottom. And then there's this new focal shift. So we'll put this down to 0. And then now when we inflate, it'll inflate the middle and squeeze the middle. However, our dots need to be in the middle of the object, which I think we can hold down Control. Yeah, so you can grab it and then hold down Control and reposition these to the middle. And then we can kind of scale with a focal shift. Not quite giving me the result I was kind of expecting. So maybe in this case, our best bet would be bend curve. There's probably a dozen other things we could do for that. But anyway, just a little warm up there. Yeah, ZRemesh is lifesaver. We'll be using that a lot when we make these characters. Cool, cool. Hey, thank you, Nasser. All right. Oh, yes. Thank you, John. Lattice, good call. So we'll say, let's go back to our standard brush here. So we have a little squashy thing. If you go in here there is a, so it's like I was looking for lattice. Deformer, deformer hard, deformer soft. Those are the deformers. The deformer is basically a lattice like in Maya. Just like the bend curve, you can go through here and you can change the resolution. Is it this one? Yeah, these little orange ones here. So we can change the resolution to make this very simple. And in fact, if we just want one in the middle, we can just go through here and just add. Basically, this is a rough envelope, a very simple envelope that'll control this more complex geometry underneath it. So if we want this to fatten in the middle, we can, so we can Control Tap to bring all these white dots back, and we Control Tap to mask them, Control Tap to invert that mask, or Control Alt Drag. We're basically masking and unmasking where we want these control dots to be available to us, and then we can just go through here and we can scale. And now we've got our animated whistles. And then right at the top here, there was another interesting thing, since we're kind of in a warm-up phase. So here we've got our whistles, and then we've got these smokestacks that are kind of wrinkling. We can use a combination of everything we've talked about here, plus cloth, I think. Let's try it. Let's go back in here. We'll grab a cylinder. And again, we'll say make polymesh 3D. And again, the reason why I'm not doing initialize stuff is because I can always go through here. I can turn on X symmetry. I can do our group by normals. I can do a ZRemesh same, depth size down to 0, keep groups, smooth groups, and just remesh this thing, give me brand new geometry with nice even quads very quickly. So, and again, we'll tap X or X forward. So now we have this, and if we go through here and we squash this, you're going to see it's just doing a gizmo scale, right? Which makes sense. If we go in here to BT, those goes to our transpose options. I'm in transpose. I saw this last night, transpose classic. I have no idea what that means. I tried looking it up and I wasn't quite sure. So it might be a masking thing. You can do a transpose. We can play with that. Here's transpose cloth. So now it's because I went in here, I was like BTC for transpose cloth, and it grabbed me transpose classic. So now it's BTA for transpose cloth. And now when I transpose with cloth, you're going to see we get a cloth algorithm. So this tries to maintain the relationships between the verts. So when you lose, so on this, when you lose volume, it still wants to retain that volume by, you know, running this kind of clothy type algorithm. It's kind of really faceted in here. You can go in here to geometry and hit divide. So now we got more geometry. But now, let's switch back here to Matcap Gray. Now when I use scale cloth, you're going to see, okay, yeah, but now I'm getting a ton of cloth wrinkles, and that's not really what I want. So we can go in here to dynamics, and we can say firmness. We can drop that firmness down. So if you do the firmness way up, this is going to be more of like a silky result. So now we're getting like a lot of, you know, horizontal lines there. But then if you go down to firmness of 1, you're getting a lot less, well, not really, you're kind of getting less lines. But again, the amount of geometry is just allowing you a lot more relationships between those verts that are all trying to maintain those relationships and those distances. That's giving me a lot more wrinkles, long story short. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. We're going to go back to these simple wrinkles, but just like we did before, I can go down here to dynamic and turn that on, and that will give us a preview of what this would look like after we subdivided. So we're going to simulate lower res verts, but we're going to give us a preview of higher res verts. So now when I go through here, at least we'll get a little bit of a softer fall off, and we kind of see these wrinkles. So now we're getting the that we're kind of seeing here. However, again, volume preservation, as these go down, they get fatter. So you may have to do a 1-2 punch where we go through here and we make it, you know, kind of do this, and then we go hop back into the gear icon. And again, you can do bend curve, maybe do it, you can do it, you know, we did the deformer already. Let's try the taper now. I think we can do the taper on the bottom. If we just do the taper, you're going to see it kind of has a curve fall off. You can make it a little more linear by this exponent. You can just drop this down to 0, and now it'll just be a straight fall off. So whichever, you know, you can also crank this up and give yourself a very, very sharp exponent, I guess you could say. So anyway, there you go. So now we're smokestack's going down, cloth is kicking in, it's getting wrinkly, and then of course when we stretch this back out, it should flatten, although it is kind of flattening towards the bottom there. I'm not sure how to alleviate that, and it's also rounding out at the top. So, you know, maybe not exactly what you need for everything. But anyway, okay, I think we're warmed up here. Just saw your shorts on YouTube about character creator. Is it in the industry or something new that will be a thing in the future? I mean, it's the future is today, I guess. I go as far as like industry standard. I don't know that it's super industry standard for everything. I mean, I know a lot of places use this just to get some character stuff done, but here's the Real Illusion character creator. And in fact, we will, if we make our characters, we'll probably use the ZBrush posing. I think that'll be really fun to kind of throw it over there, rig it up, and throw some animations on it. These are a little more involved in that you use the body geometry and a painter pipeline, and then I guess we can check these out. Turn off that fat beat. So yeah, basically, yeah, let me just kick through here. So it's changing the body, going through here, sculpting a bespoke body. There's morphs that you can play with, UDIMs that you can send over to Painter, and you can bake out, you know, character stuff, and then you get some free wrinkle expressions, you get some free facial expressions if you're using their geometry. And then in the this one, and then in the face tools one, which is actually really cool. Not that the other one isn't, but this is, you know, this is going through and talking about expression wrinkles. You can go through here and you can do stylized stuff too. In fact, Shane Olson just has a stylized body that you can use for this, but this is going through there and doing bespoke facial wrinkles and stuff like that. Now, going back to, is it industry standard? I use it as something that I like to use because it's kind of like having my own tech art team available to me. Like a tech rigging team, without having to have an actual tech rigging team. It's just a software suite that's very organized and very capable and allows me to do a lot of very complex industry type things without having to put in the hours and organization and scripts and stuff. It's all just kind of bundled in there. So I'm just kind of playing with it now, but you know, I'm going to be taking stuff into Unreal this year, so we'll see how it holds up. Oh, thank you. Okay, so, okay, now let's get back. that's so, again, where we started here. Texture, import, we grabbed this character sheet and we added it to Spotlight. So now I just have to hit Z to turn on Spotlight, Shift Z to turn it off, and then hit Z again to toggle from widget mode to just see-through mode, I guess you could call it. So let's go back into our palette. We'll grab a ZSphere. And hey, again, it's just a white ZSphere, so we can go through here and we can do our initialize. I'm going to be using ZRemesher, which you all already know about. We have X symmetry turned on. I'll turn on the floor just to make sure we're Z forward. And then we'll just go ahead and move this over here. I'm going to keep perspective off. This looks fairly orthographic. I think we'll be in good shape. And we're just going to go ahead and make his little lower body. And that's one thing I actually loved. It's been a long time since I've watched this old school kind of noodly arm, kind of fanciful animation. It kind of brought back, because I used to watch this stuff all the time as a kid. And, oh, who was the, hold on, it was drawing, oh man, I have him on my shelf. What is he, what's his name? Sorry, y'all know my brain doesn't work good in the mornings. Andrew, let me see if I can just, Loomis, Andrew Loomis. That Loomis style of constructive drawing is still totally, you can absolutely see the shapes, you know, as you're going through here. You can see these nice cylinders and things are cut in, and even when they get a little bit fanciful, where it's like, oh, the whole body's kind of getting rubbery and stuff, there's some real, and again, preserving volume as things turn. This bird's a great example of just really great blocky shapes. You can totally see the primitives that these things are built off of. And also I love, this is stuff you just don't see anymore, just totally wacky, you know, and even when the teeth come down and hit, they compress and have a little bit of cloth wrinkle too, you know, it's just like, what? But I love it. Yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. And yeah, everything turns, you know, it's all super well constructed, and the shapes are all, yeah, there's so many cool things we could model. But, you know, I'm just sitting here talking instead of modeling. But I wanted to look through here and see, yeah, there's just so much good stuff in here. And also the animation where they kind of do a cycle, where they kind of have a cyclical bounce that I love so much. It's just so cool. But anyway, okay, so we have a sphere in here. We have X symmetry turned on, and this is pretty round. There's not like an oblongness to his lower body here, so I think we're just going to keep it a sphere for now. And again, we're going to sculpt on this. We're going to go back here. This is an initialized state, because again, we can go down here to our primitive properties. If you go down here to, what is it, initialize, right? Yeah, initialize. You can go through here and change all these settings, and then as soon as you hit make polymesh 3D, all of a sudden this initialize turns into something else, which is like Q cube, Q sphere, which if you wanted to start with a Q sphere, you could, but we won't do that. So we have our sphere here. For the body, this is kind of just an elongated kind of upper body, but we want to store these camera positions real quick. So we're going to go through here, and we're going to go to movie, timeline, show, and we're going to tap in there to store a dot. So now if I move this sphere around, I can always use my arrow keys, and that'll click through my dots. I just have one, it'll put us right back where we started. Now we can hold down Control and then just drag off a copy of this and go to the head, but I'm actually going to we're going to stick with the upper body for now, or the body for now. Now you're going to see as I move, scale, and rotate this, it kind of maintains its volumes because we still have transpose cloth turned on. So BTR is just regular old transpose. And then we'll just scale this down, and I'm going to scale this up a little bit, and then we're just going to put that right down in there, that little bullet shape. And there you go. There's our whole body. Now, if I control drag, you'll see these are, you know, two, and it will do Shift Z to turn that off. These are two separate shapes. Even right now, if you wanted to, if we went to a polygroups auto groups, you'll see that this will be one completely separate object. You can control Shift, it's still sitting there. However, as they're overlapping, you can hit W, and instead of going in here and turning on live Boolean and having two separate subtools, blah, 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 you can literally just go in here and say remesh by union. That'll stick these two objects together. We'll turn X symmetry back on. We'll say ZRemesh or half, dap size down to 0, keep groups, smooth groups down to 0, ZRemesh. And then we got brand new geometry for this shape. It's a little premature to do that now, but I figured I'd call that out just so you can see how easy it is to kind of get these bodies going. Now, we have, oh, you'll also see as I'm moving my cursor around, it's kind of following the contours of my object. I don't really need that. So I go in here to Preferences, Edit, turn off Align Cursor to Surface. It doesn't change the functionality, it just kind of stops that flip-flopping. You'll see I kind of missed this down here a little bit, so I'm going to make my draw size bigger. Just tap S on my keyboard. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? You see I'm kind of capping out. When you start with a primitive, let me talk about this. Preferences, draw. You can go in here and change your max brush scale. You can go in here and change your dynamic brush scale, which is a multiplier on your brush. You can double click dynamic if you're not going to use IMM brushes. I'm not going to deal with any of that. I'm just going to go through here and literally just scale this down and then use navigation to scale it back up and reposition this. And then again, now that I've changed this, I'm going to drag this dot out of here and then put that dot back in. So now as I move this around, use my arrow keys, that'll snap back and I can make my draw size a lot bigger. Although that primitive came in humongous. Sorry, these are kind of just weird, quirky things that I'm going through now. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So drag that out. There we go. Whew. Oh, so many comments. Yes, it is early. I'm not sure about the logo. Yeah, ZTube. I like that name. Cool, cool. Yeah. This is yeah, I don't know if y'all want to test the legal waters there, but I just figured it was again, I love the constructive nature. Not that they don't use construction to make animated stuff right now. It's all based on that, but just these early things are so good and so fanciful, whimsical, cool. Anyway, so we have our body here. However, when I go to the side, you're going to see it's just setting straight up, but he's got kind of a lean to him. So we can actually go through here. We have our camera set up here. So if I want to, I can actually move this over again, just using my navigation. We're going to turn this to a 3/4, or we can go to a 3/4 back, and you're going to see that, there's a little bit of a lean to it. So I'm just going to hold down. So here's the front. I'm going to hold down Shift and go to the side. I'm just going to build in a little bit of that lean and kind of put that in there. That gives it that nice, even the human body. Oh, do I have Photoshop open? Yeah, I was messing around with ZRemesh Live there. Yeah. So, new, enter. Nope. New, let's say. So we've got a body here, and we've got a, let's turn this on. So we've got a rib cage here. Oh man, hold on. I forgot I need to have this mapped to, or my pin customized to ZRemesh. Okay, good. So we've got our rib cage here, and then we've got our pelvis here, and so you're going to get that nice natural curve, and then you'll have your legs and your hamstrings and your arms here and stuff like that. But that bean shape, and again, so he's got a big old belly and then a kind of a smaller rib cage. So really, it's just a smaller sphere and a larger sphere. However, you still want to have that nice vertebrae that kind of swings back, that nice C shape here. And again, sorry, I have two versions of this might come in handy for y'all. So when I'm in ZRemesh, let me go ahead and get rid of this. When I am in ZRemesh, I go in here and I customize my mapping for my pin, so I kind of pull out this way so I don't have to really dig in when I'm sculpting, but when I'm sketching, it kind of is heavy-handed, so I'll usually go in here and do the opposite. So now, say okay. So now when I go through here and I sketch, nice, I can actually sketch. So anyway, so from the side view, here's our little, Control D, here's our little rib cage, here's our big old pelvis, and again, that's just giving us that nice belly in the front, booty in the back, and then a little bean shape on the top. And then from here, so here's our vertebrae, and then we'll have our little legs sticking out here, and then our feet, and then our arms here. And I won't do my Mickey impression because it'd probably be horrific. And also probably not under copyright because I don't remember Steamboat Willie saying a whole lot. And then again, the big old head. And then this is where, you know, the neck will come out and then the head and stuff like that. So again, long story short, it's that bean shape that you're looking for. So we'll head on back into ZRemesh here. And again, I'm going to go back in here and say, hey, we're in ZRemesh now. Yoink. Okay, get rid of it. So there's our bean shape. We want a little bit of that belly here and then a little bit of the back. So put this back. So now head. You like we did earlier, you could have control dragged out a sphere for the head, but we went ahead and just attached the top of the body. So we'll say append a sphere, and then we'll grab that sphere here. We'll go out of solo mode so we can see it. We'll scale the sphere down, and then we'll move it into place. So now here is the head, and this is where things start getting interesting because he doesn't really have a neck at all, and you can kind of see that in here too. That's going to be a little problematic in 3D. It doesn't give us a whole lot of wiggle room. Plus, you know, these things are so elastic that they're going to have poses where they stretch out and there's going to be a long neck and then it's going to go compress back and it's going to disappear. So I might fudge that just a tad, just to sneak a little bit of a neck in there. But anyway, we've got the head here. We got some legs, we got some feet. And let's just make sure these are positioned appropriately. So we'll say Shift Z. I'm rotating this to the left here, and we're just going to put this head, you know, kind of just sitting towards the front. And then we'll go back. And like I said, so here's where the head should be. I might fudge that just a little bit, just to sneak a little bit of a neck in there. We're not going to do the pants just yet. We're just doing the body. Hands here, kind of the same deal. In fact, let's go ahead. I'm going to control drag off a copy of this, and you're going to see this is masked, this is unmasked. There is a hide point, split mask underneath subtool. There's a split mask and stuff like that. So I'm just going to say split mask points. That'll put that into its own subtool. And then I can say, let's turn off X-symmetry. We can move this over here to the left. And this will be the start of our hand. And then again, I'm just going to control drag off another copy. I'm going to do another split mask points or split unmasked points, doesn't really matter. And then we'll start, you know, making these feet. Now for the feet, these are going to be similar to the Mario feet, which if you want, I don't have it on my ArtStation page yet, but again, if you go to my YouTube channel and you scroll down to the Livestream full episodes and you click that and you scroll down, you'll see, hey, make a Mario. So again, in fact, I can just link you to that. Check that out. Circle option on crease level sliders for I can't find anything about it. Gosh, you know, I could probably guess. I'm not exactly sure what that does either. Lazy Nizumi and ZRemesh for freehand drawing. No, I haven't. I use it in Photoshop to kind of smooth out, to get that lazy mouse. But in ZRemesh, I just use lazy mouse, I think. Cool. Yes. All right. So back in here. So like just like we did for the Mario, we've got the beginning of a foot here. So if I control drag out another one of these things, and you know what, we'll scale this out a little bit because, you know, the boot is kind of small in the back and tapered, and then this kind of flares out for a boot type shape. So we can control tap to invert that mask selection. We could even kind of thin this out a little bit. So that's kind of, you know, it's the beginning of a boot-ish shape, right? So now what we can do, these aren't stuck together just yet, but again, we know how to do that. We can go in here to the gear icon. We can say remesh by union. That'll stick these together. So now we can go through here. Now you could dynamesh these together. I like to use remesh. And then control shift, switch over here to knife curve. Just put a slice right down the bottom here. And now we've got the beginnings of kind of a little boot shape. And in fact, we could even go through here and, you know, kind of, I'm going to pull this to the side a little bit and kind of push this in just to kind of get a little bit more of that kind of a natural foot shape in there. Looking pretty good. And so now what we can do, again, we have a polygroup on the bottom, polygroup on the side. You know what? Let's go ahead and finish out this boot here. So we'll say Shift Z. It's got like a little donut on the top. You can, and this is also kind of sculpted. We can sculpt that in a second. You could stick the donut on there. So 2 ways you can do that. You can go in here to append, and you can literally just append a ring, and then take this ring, just alt tap it here, and then you can just scale this down and move it into place. And if you're afraid that like, okay, that's great, but now my ring, as I'm scaling it down, is getting really, you know, thin, remember you can always go into your deformations here, and you could do an inflate. So we can just grab this inflate and kind of, you know, push that up. Also back in here, you can, I just have a custom menu here. If you, and again, I'll call this out. If you want to know more about this, again, the ZRemesh What's New playlist, I haven't put it in there yet, but my ArtStation page, go to ZRemesh What's New, and then here's the intro to ZRemesh, and then all the What's New videos on here. This intro to ZRemesh has like 51 videos, all sorts of cool stuff in here, and one of those is basically how to get up and running in ZRemesh. And one of those is to make a custom interface and custom interface, custom buttons, custom menus, all that good stuff, custom hotkeys. So that way you don't have to go searching through here. You just set up your own custom stuff and get to it really quickly. So anyway, that's, you can go through here very quickly and just add that little kind of loop to the top of the boot there. Now, if you want to leave them as separate objects, you totally can, and that might actually be easier for you to do certain poses or kind of wrangle it. But of course, you know how to merge these into one object and ZRemesh them, which I guess we can do. But before we do that, I'm going to do it to this one first. So again, we have a polygroup here, we have a polygroup here, and in fact, we could even go through here and hold down Control Shift and just knife the top here to put a polygroup on there. And now, I think that's right. This kind of goes out. It's not exactly right, but I think we can fudge it. So here's our result. Here's our polyframe. Again, we'll go ZRemesh or half, dab size down to 0, keep groups, smooth groups down to 0, ZRemesh. That'll give us brand new geometry, keeping our polygroups. And in fact, it looks like we have dynamic turned on. We'll go ahead and turn that off, just Shift D. So now we have very simple geometry to go through. And there's like you could even put like a slight heel in here if we wanted to. We'll skip that for now, but at least, you know, that's how you can kind of make a very simple shape. And if you want to kind of go through here and massage this, it's fairly easy. You can just go through here with like a clay brush or a standard brush and go through here, and you can kind of sculpt this out now. Very easily, nicely controlled geometry. Hold down Shift to smooth. You know the basic sculpting brushes, right? And in fact, if you want to protect the bottom here, you can Control Shift tap just this, or you can hit W and Control tap this polygroup. That'll mask out the bottom. But in our case, I think we can go through here. And in fact, I'm going to move these out just a tad here. And in fact, now that we have polygroups, if I was to go through here and say, hey, I'm going to do a really lumpy move, and it's like, I wish I could smooth that out. You have polygroups now. So there is a deformer for that, Polish by Features. There's a closed circle. You can drag that, and that'll go ahead and maintain your volumes. So going back to the creasing we were talking about with the open and closed circle, for Polish by Feature, if you do open circle, a feature is a polygroup border or a crease. So Polish by Feature, you can drag this, and that'll really, it won't retain your volumes, but it'll really polish your shape. If you go in here and turn this to closed circle, and if you don't even have to drag it, you can just tap, 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 tap. You can just slowly kind of tap this. That'll maintain your volumes, but also, you know, kind of smooth out your shapes. So now going back to creasing, if we go in here to our crease menu, there is, was it under? Because there's a question about that, and I don't remember exactly where it is. Let's see. I am doing well, thank you. Clip curve. I lost it, but I am picking up more things we can talk about. So wouldn't that sketch be better to do Mickey Mouse with ZSpheres? You know, that's a good point. I don't tend to use ZSpheres for this because ZSpheres will kind of I'm having this is a little bit more controlled for me. But yeah, you can absolutely use these spheres to make this entire character if you want. In fact, we could use these spheres for the arms, and then you could even Z-sketch for this. So if you wanted to, here's another option for you. We'll go out of edit mode. We'll take a little tangent. So we're going to go through here. We'll grab a Z-sphere. We'll hit Control N to clear our canvas. Drag a Z-sphere out. Go in here in edit mode. Tap X symmetry, Shift Z, and then we could say, you know, go to the top here, and then we could just hit Q, and this will give us that kind of bean shape for the body. And then we can hit Q and then tap in here and then Q again, and we can drag out like our arms like so. And then when you're all done with this, you can hit A on your keyboard and turn it into an adaptive skin. By default, it gives you a Dynamesh skin. We'll go in here and we'll say under adaptive skin, we'll turn off preview. So A is the preview and A is to toggle it off. Density down to 1, Dynamesh resolution down to 0. So now when we hit A, I guess do density of 2. Now we're going to get this result, and this is just a nice sculptable result, and then you can go through here and you can kind of put in that kind of bean body shape and have your arms already connected and stuff like that. Yeah, totally valid. And so as far as the Z-sketching thing, you can also, so here's our adaptive skin. If we turn this off, we can go down here to Z-sketch. We can go in here to edit sketch, and we're going to have these options available. You can actually go through here and you can, number one, let's go back in here to edit sketch. You can sketch on this object and hold down shift to smooth, and you can kind of go through here and like sculpt muscles and stuff. Not that you would need that for old Steamboat here. But you can go in here and switch this to like armature, and you can go through here and just drag out legs, you know, and smooth these out. Now the problem is if you hit A for adaptive skin, it's going to give you what's in fact a unified skin. So when you have a Z-sketch activated, it's going to give you a unified skin. So you may need to do a mix of adaptive skin and then unified skin. You can just, all you need to do is say, hey, make unified skin or make adaptive skin. That'll put out Z tools in here. You can append them and kind of stick them together and then ZRemesh them and start there. Whatever is easiest. We're kind of having fun with, I don't know if we're having fun, but we're using primitives. Yeah, I think they're both valid. There's no wrong answers here. So this I think I'm going to leave separate. But if I want to move these two things together, I'm going to hold down Alt and go to Unmesh Mesh Center and reset. I'm going to go to this little checkbox icon, Control Shift drag over these two. Let's switch back to select rectangle here. And then again, if we bring back our model sheet, his feet are kind of kicked out. I don't know that I'm going to have them kicked out. If I'm going to go in here and rig, I don't want to have his feet kicked out like this, because you'll just have to put in an offset so that his feet don't go out like clown shoes while he's walking around. Although having said that, that is kind of how he walks around. He's kind of got a ballet, you know, I don't know what point stance that is, but you know, where the feet are totally out to the side. But generally speaking, you want the animators to control that and have the feet generally forward. But if we're just going through here and checking proportions, you know, we can temporarily, you know, rotate these feet out, and we're in good shape. Let me get caught up here. Snapping in ZBrush. Yeah, they did do a little bit of snapping, didn't they? I forget which one that was. ZBrush 2024 or 2023. 2024 still. I thought there was, I guess so, 2023. There was a snapping update. Whoa, what's going on in this page? There we go. So here's 18 videos for 2023. Snapping. There it is. Snapping subtools. So it's not vert snapping, kind of, but it is snapping surfaces to each other using transpose and the contact, C for contact. Oh, there it is. Thank you. The circle option on the crease level slider. So the crease level, crease tolerance. So if we go down here to our geometry, crease. Oh, there it is. Crease level. Crease level slider. Switch it low. I really don't remember what that is. I feel like Gandalf in the tunnels. I might have to sit and just breathe the air in order to remember what the hell that does. Crease level, I wonder. I really don't know. I wish I did. It might come to me if I just sit here and put that on my back burner. Okay. You know, that's a good point. Easy brush. I'm not sure why, but you know how things are. You know how it is. So, okay, anyway, so we got our hands here, we got our body here. The pants will be easy to do. The legs can just be a tube. So this is another fun one. You can literally, so here's what I tend to do is instead of doing all this appending, you can literally go in here and I have a custom, so you can go in here, BI brush insert. There's an IMM primitives. There's two of those, by the way. There's, if you hover there, there's IMM primitives and then IMM primitives H. These have holes on the back. It's great for mesh fusion, which we guess we can talk about. So here's IMM primitives. So if you want to select this, you can go through here and select like one of these cylinders, or you can hit M as in Michael Pavlovich on your keyboard. You can do insert, here's no edges, here's insert cylinder with edges. We'll do insert cylinder with edges. And then if we want to do arms, we can do pull in or pull out and then pull in. And that'll kind of give us arms here. I'm going to do a quick split mask points, hit W, we'll turn off move multiple. We can immediately go in here to bend curve. You can dial in your resolution you want. 3 is fine. We can go through here and just kind of bend this around. So very quickly, we can go through here and kind of give ourselves arms and legs, you know. And then we'll go to the side here and we'll kind of put this where the shoulder is and kind of, I don't know. There's our little A pose. That's one way to do it. Now, just as a really quick demonstration, I'm going to show you if I go through here and I say, I'm going to hold down Control and mask and then hit Control W to make a polygroup here. Then I'm going to go in here to BI brush insert IMM primitives H. These have holes on the back. So again, if I do a cylinder with no edges and pull this here, you're going to see there's a hole in the back. So because I drag that out on a polygroup, I can control drag again, and it will fuse these two objects. It's not going to dynamesh them or union mesh them. It's literally going to look at the geometry on one and the geometry on the other and put a bridge between those two. Very useful. In fact, if I go back here where this is still masked, we can move this out, control drag, and it'll fuse these together. How cool is that? So that's the mesh fusion, and that's why holes in the back of your object are cool. Great for horns. Not in our case, though. So that's one way you can do noodle arms. Another way you can do like noodle legs is we can go back in here. We can append a Z-sphere. We'll grab this Z-sphere here. We'll scale it down here. We'll hit Shift-Z, and then we'll go back to our camera view. We'll hit W. Again, I'm just giving you options. We can move this into place. We can hit Q. We can hold down Shift as we drag that out. That'll snap it to the same size. We can put this back. We can hit Q again, hit W. We can bend this out. Now, you'll see that these are a little thick. Remember, do I remember where the hell this is? It's on under transform. Stroke. Yes, curves helper. Underneath stroke curves helper, there is a scale Z-spheres to draw size. So I can make my draw size smaller and then hit this, and then that'll make your Z-spheres bigger or smaller. You can make this bigger. Now, this may or may not be all that useful to you. Here's your Z-sphere chain. You can hit A again. It's going to give you a Dynamesh result. If you don't want that, you can always go back in here to adaptive skin, turn off preview, density down to 1, Dynamesh down to 0. And then when we hit preview, we're just getting a very simple tube here, which we can go through here and change. Now, be careful, because you can go through here and you can sculpt the stuff around. You're like, wee, it's geometry. And then you go out of preview mode, you have a Z-sphere sitting here. So let's undo that. Okay, so Shift-Z, put this back in here. Move this around. W to go into move mode. So instead of scaling these down using, which is totally cool, stroke and curves helper, all that good stuff, we can just do that with the geometry. So once we're ready, we can hit A for adaptive skin, give us nice simple geometry. I'm going to sit adaptive skin, make adaptive skin. That's going to throw out a skin Z-sphere, or just a skin mesh in here. We're going to append that to our subtool stack. Z-sphere we don't need anymore, and I don't want to get confused and start sculpting on this accidentally. So we're going to delete that out of our scene. So now we have plain old geometry. So now, instead of going through here and using scale, or trying to scale our Z-spheres, we're going to go in here with our what we did earlier, which is inflate and deflate. So deformation, inflate and deflate. We can just kind of move these things around. And again, you know, you want to position these appropriately so they kind of fit the character. And at any point, you can go through here and you can start sculpting. You can inflate, like if it's supposed to be, not that it does this, but you can go in here with your inflate brush and you kind of make it fatter up here and hold down shift and thin it out down here. And then you can say ZRemesh same, dot size down to 0. You can even keep your groups and get you brand new geometry if you want. But in our case, we can just keep that. So again, options, y'all. Nothing wrong with that. And even these ones here, you know, this geometry may not be ideal, but remember, you can do a quick group by normals. How we have X symmetry turned on. I'm going to do a geometry modified topology mirror and weld across the X. And then we can even do a ZRemesh, let's say ZRemesh half, keep group, smooth group down to 0, and give us some brand new geometry. Whatever. It's totally cool. Totally awesome. Cool. Yeah, the clown walk. Live Boolean turned on when I added the plane. It was covered with red hatched lines when I Boolean. You know, why I wasn't part of the Boolean. So if it is part of the Boolean in the sense that if it's visible, so right now what I can do, since these are all closed meshes, I can take all these that are visible. They're all additive. So if I go in here to live Boolean, I can go down here and I can say make Boolean mesh, and that'll go ahead and spit out this U mesh, and these are all union Boolean together. So I hold down shift to smooth, they're all stuck together, right? However, if I go through, let's go ahead and delete this. We'll go back to our stack. However, if I append a plane, plane here, and I want a Boolean, you're going to see this plane is not. Here's another thing too. You know how we've been messing around with primitives and going down here to initialize. If you have a bunch of sculptable objects and you append a primitive, it automatically throws it into make polymesh 3D mode. So you can go through here and start sculpting. Now on this one, you'll see as I, you know, here we can see it, here we can't. This is a single-sided mesh. If you want to, you can go down here and say display properties double, and then when you go to the bag, you can see it. However, this is an open mesh. So if I try to go through here and say, hey, give me a Boolean with this plane now, and I've got everything showing, and we're all additive, and say make Boolean mesh, and then I go in here and say my U mesh, it's like, throw up, right? Because it's a single-sided mesh, math doesn't work really well with a Boolean, so it tried and failed. So if we want to, we can make this a thick mesh. We'll say Q mesh polygroup all. We'll add some thickness to this mesh. So now it's a solid mesh with thickness. There's no single-sidedness going on. And now if I say make Boolean mesh, it's still giving me warnings. Sometimes what'll happen is you'll have faces that are right on top of each other. You can go in here to render Booleans and show coplanar. So if we go back to our stack here, where was that? Render inside solo. Show coplanar, show issues. In here is where you can kind of mess around with issues that you may have. But anyway, I have a feeling if you're talking about just a plain and Boolean, maybe you had like maybe render show coplanar was on, because that'll give you those red kind of hatched looks. Maybe that's it, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. Okay, so we've got our body here. Now, his hands are kind of curled. I want my hands to be kind of out and flat, because we can make these into fists when we animate, right? And also, I want more of a traditional A pose. So we've got the length of the arm here, which are going to be, these guys are elastic, so variable, right? So let's go ahead and straighten these arms out, or we can just replace them. You know, it's easy enough to go through here and say, okay, I'm going to go into my custom menu. We have a bend curve here. So if I just delete these arms out of here, I can just drop in new arms, rotate these around here. Although, you know what I should have done? Let's say I'm going to go visibility, hide point, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Go into my custom menu, there's a bend curve up. There we go. So now as I drag this out, it'll just drag out nice. These are, let's turn off live Boolean here. These are just nicely segmented arms. So we can say split mass points here. And again, you know, here's the length of my arm, and then they'll curve down to the arm. I'm just going to go ahead and say These are my arms. If I want to thicken these up, I can go in here to inflate, but you'll see it kind of does something weird. I can also hit W and hold down Alt and then pull on the blue. Now you're going to see it's going to want to go towards the world axis. Go in here to LSIM, turn off dynamic, and then you hold down Alt. You can go through here and you can kind of thicken it up on those two axes. So that way you don't have to deal with that. So now we'll go in here to our hand, and that'll be kind of the palm here. And we'll kind of mess around with the proportions. You don't have to be set in stone right now. You just, generally speaking, where all these things need to go. We'll stick this back in here. Arms, hand, I think that looks about right. And again, we can kind of mess with these. We'll put a little indication of a neon here. Now, for the hand itself, I think this is going to be for the palm. We'll hold down Alt and kind of turn this a little bit. We'll squash this down a little bit. Let's go ZRemesh or half, dap size down to 0. Just the less geometry you have, the less lumpy things are going to get as you're moving stuff around. So there you go. And then we'll kind of push this here. And for the fingers, kind of the same deal. We can kind of get away with, I can go in here to my custom menu and just use, these little noodles here, or you can go into BI brush insert, IMM primitives, grab a cylinder, and then just drag these out. So now we've got, how many fingers do you have? 1, 2, 3, and a thumb. So we can say we can drag out a pinky here, and then we'll control drag out this. Oops, let's go to mesh center here. For a finger here, and then control drag out another one. And then finally for the thumb, drag out another one here. And you can bend these if you'd like to give little indications of knuckles. And I guess we can do that too, but we'll do that in a second. So now that I've got all these, I can hit W. First, let's do this. Let's do a group by normals. And let's have a little fun here. Let's hold down Control Shift. I'm going to grab all these end caps here. And we're going to say Geometry Modify Topology Delete Hidden. I'm going to hover over one of these edges. We're going to say Close Convex Hole. And we're going to go through here and we're going to kind of give it a little bit of a rounded result. So just kind of go through here and tap, tappa, tappa, tappa. And then Control Shift Tap, Control W. So now I've got polygroups and all these things are stuck in together. So one more time we can go in here and say Remesh by Union. And we have polygroups here, so we can say ZRemesh half, dap size down to 0, keep groups, smooth groups down to 0. And that'll give us nice, simple geometry that's all quadded out and works enough. And again, this one does have a little tire on the back. So I'll go into my custom brush here, and there's a ring we can put on here. Now this ring doesn't have a ton of, that's kind of weird. Ring camera, don't want that one. Ring. There we go. So two things wrong, two things not ideal about this. Number one is we have the ring, yes. However, I want to fatten this up, and I can't use my Alt drag because there's no real axis for this object in particular. So again, I'm going to go to Deformation Inflate, and we'll just fatten that up a little bit. Let's also double check our work here. I think we're good enough. So we've got this ring here. We can kind of stick that on. But there's not a ton of resolution on here. So what I might do is go ahead and split this off temporarily, hit Control D, and then we'll just merge that back down. That's just under here is merge down. So now these are all stuck together, have a little more resolution on here. I can Control tap this one here. We can stick that on there, and then we can hit W, Remesh by Union. In this case though, it might also, it does kind of go in, but it kind of leaves us again, a suboptimal kind of connection here. So in this case, what I might do, change my mind, thank you. I'm gonna say Geometry Modify Topology Delete Hidden. I'm gonna go in here and grab a cylinder here, and we're gonna squash, oh, that's not great. Grab a cylinder. I had a friend that was having this issue here. Let me see. BI brush insert. IMM primitives M. Might have to rebuild that brush. Yeah, okay. It's not a huge deal. I can just Alt tap on here, but that is kind of weird. Okay, so one thing I can do. Okay, sorry. BI brush insert. I did investigate that. We're going to go in here to IMM primitives, not the hole in the back version. We're going to go in here to insert cylinder, no edges. Pull that on the back of our hand here. We'll hit W, Alt tap here so we can find our thing. And then instead of using a tube or a, what do they call those? Torus. We can go through here. I'm going to stick this kind of in the hand here, and we're going to round off this middle section here. So temporarily, we'll go ahead and say split mask points. I'm going to go here. There's a couple different ways we can do this. One way is insert multiple edge loops, turn on interactive elevation, and then when I click on here, I can click and drag, and then I'll kind of round this out. And that way, I get the round result. We'll make that all one polygroup here. I'll make that here. So we have the rounded result, but it doesn't kind of curve back in on itself and become possibly an issue. So again, we'll go ahead and merge this back down. And here's something cool you can do. So right now, if I want to move this hand, or move this torus, this is all one object, right? I can hit W and control tap this, but that's only going to grab that polygroup. What I used to have to do is control shift drag over a little piece of this, control shift A, mask, invert, blah, 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 and a whole bunch of button presses. Now they have, you can mask a little piece of this, and then I'm going to do control open bracket, which is my hotkey I set up for the new 2024 masking, grow mask, grow all, shrink all. I think it's those two. Grow mask, shrink mask. No, grow all, shrink all, these two. You can see my hotkeys I set up for that. So now I can very easily just kind of quickly, since they're not vert welded, I can just mask those off really quickly and move them around, even though they do have separate polygroups. Yeah, we'll go ahead and unmesh mesh center. So now we have our polygroups set up. We have all this stuff ready to go. So again, do another quick remesh by union. And then with our polygroups here, do a ZRemesher half, keep group smooth groups down to 0. You don't have to say half, but it generally seems to work. And now we got a little pair of gloves. Now, if you do want to kind of indent this back, you can go through here, isolate this, control shift drag, geometry modify topology, delete hidden. I'm going to go through here and say insert, close convex hole. We'll go ahead and close this off, make it its own polygroup here. Then we could do like inset polygroup all. We could inset this in, and then we can say Q mesh, and then just hold down shift as you pull this in, or we'll do two insets. We'll say inset again, and now we'll say Q mesh. Nice. There we go. A little bit of controlled chaos. So here's our hand-ish. So that's one way you can go through and make a hand. And then again, it's just simple geometry. So you can go through here and you can massage that palm so it's not so bloated. Kind of give them a little more thumb definition. Go through here and sculpt the hand into something a little bit more believable. We'll go through here. We'll give little indications of knuckles. Again, it's going to be kind of loosey-goosey, which might be a character. Here, something like this. Now we want a hand on the other side. I'm going to do a geometry modified topology mirror and weld across the X. Turn off LSIM so it doesn't do it on its own axis. And then we've got the arms in here. And again, we want little indications of elbows. And does he have, hold on, I'm going to go back to my reference here. Keep, there we go. Yeah, he stays pretty thin. In fact, it's like he gets some of these, obviously these are thousands of drawings and, there might be inconsistencies between frames, but yeah, these are all, I think these are meant to be just kind of tubes stuck into volumes here, so I think we're in good shape. In fact, we can probably even thin those out because those are, he's looking pretty, he's a pretty skinny dude. Okay, now, again, this is kind of that clown kind of look here. I'm going to go through and say, hey, you know what? For these legs, I'm going to have these turn forward. And then for the feet, again, I can go through here and say move multiple and control shift drag over these and blah, blah, blah. Temporarily, I'm going to say, let's turn off move multiple. If I want to know where these are in my subtool stack, I'm not going to go dig for them. I'm going to hold down shift, bent down arrow, alt tab, shift, bent down arrow, and then just merge the last two. And then I'm going to go back here to the heel and we'll scoot those forward just a little bit here. So now we're kind of getting this body going. We'll do another quick mirror and weld across the X, mirror and weld across the X. There we go. So now we've got kind of our character going. Oh, this hatching here? And it was red? Man, I don't know. The only time I remember seeing red hatching was on Boolean stuff, I think. I could be wrong. My brain, not what it used to be for sure. I might have to see that in action. Is there a hotkey for grow mask? Is there? Let's see. Control. If there's not, you can make one. So here's masking. We have grow mask and shrink mask. So I don't think there is, because usually when you hover over, it'll show you the hotkey. However, we can hold down Control-Alt-Tap. And then for control grow mask, we can do like, we'll do like Control-P. Oh, sorry. So Control-Alt-Tap anything, and then we'll do Control-O. Really? Control-Alt, Control... Fine, Control-Alt, Control-J. so now if I hover over grow mask, it'll say Control-J. So now when I do Control-J, it'll grow mask. Now you're gonna have to tap grow mask a lot. Again, if you do want grow all, that's going to mask a little bit, and then do your hotkey for grow all. And then now this thing can be moved around, but we'll turn off move multiple. So now, and then Control-Tap to invert your masking. Let's get back to the head here. So this head is obviously kind of drawn, you know, his eyeballs are kind of drawn on, which I think we'll kind of lean into. But you also see, you know, forward, his ears are like this. From the side, the ears go here. It's not really how it works in 3D, right? So we're gonna have to fudge that a little bit. Also, these are kind of like cylinder cups, which we can kind of play with to see how this is going to work exactly. So let's go ahead and put some cylinders on there. We're going to Alt-Tap the head here. We have X symmetry turned on. Alt-E-M, that's my hotkeys. I'm going to go in here to cylinder 32. We're going to drag out some cylinders here. We'll hit W and we'll turn on LSim with dynamic off. We'll scale these in, and then we'll kind of flip these around here, and we'll say split mass points. So now we'll move these into place here, and we'll scale them up. And that's generally where these should go. However, you're going to see they're very flat. So let's go ahead, and number one, we'll kind of position them so they're kind of mid. I'm kind of seeing a mid head here. And then we want to have these kind of like as cups. So let's go through here. We'll do a group by normals and then a geometry modify topology mirror and weld. I'm going to Control-Shift-Tap this, Control-Shift-Drag, delete hidden, go back in here, say again, close convex hole. And then as we close this, we can have this go out, but we can't have it go in, right? So one thing to fix, or one way around that, we can go down here to display properties. We can say flip, and now our open hole is on this side. We can go through here and, oops, wait, is it this side? Okay, go in here and turn on double so you can see what the hell you're doing. So now when I click on here, we can actually kind of concave this in and kind of give us like a little bit of a thing. But now on this side, obviously, it's gonna be kind of busted. So here's what we're gonna do. Now that I see this in action, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna do a concave surface here to kind of give us that concave ear. And then I'm gonna hold down Control-Shift to isolate this, geometry modify topology, delete hidden. And then I'm just gonna say QMesh polygroup all, and then we'll just kind of QMesh this back. So now we've got our cupped ears. So now we could even go through here, say crease PG, that's under your geometry crease menu, hit D for dynamic. We'll say crease level of 1, smooth side of 2. So now it'll kind of maintain our edges, but give us a little bit of a fall off, and that'll give us our kind of cupped ears there. Something like that. Okay, so the rest of the face, here's the side view. So I'm gonna go to the side view here. We're gonna scooch this over, and now we're still proportionally okay. His feet might be a little big. All we gotta do is Alt-Tap the feet. Let's go here. We're gonna put that axis down here. Again, we didn't store that camera view, so as I move this over, I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, great, this camera, we're going to put in another dot, so now I can switch between this camera view and that camera view. And then we'll go ahead and scale these feet back just a tiny bit here. So now this head, these are going to be like, we'll go ahead and put in the snout and maybe the lower lip, and kind of we'll come up with a couple different ways you could do this. But at the end of the day, the face is going to be so animated and so variable and so elastic that I'm not going to really commit to making this beautiful animatable face, when in reality I'm probably going to go in here and sculpt what I need. But temporarily, what we can do is we can alt tap the head here, go in here and just insert a sphere with any technique you'd like. I'm going to say do a quick split mask points, hit W, go down to mesh center, and kind of, let's see, we'll scale this out a little bit. And you can go through there and, you know, use all your deformers and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's sometimes easier just to go through here and just use your move brush, right? And then make sure that from the side and the front, it's generally compatible. We can kind of fatten it out as it goes into the head here, and then it kind of thins out here. And then that little button nose here, I guess we'll just do another ZSphere here, and then again split mask points. And on this one, let's turn off X symmetry, go down mesh center, so we can scale this out a little bit. If you do want a little bend, remember you can go in here to like your bend curve, and you can say, hey, I'm going to bend this back a little bit. You could even use your scale, but again, it's oftentimes just easy enough just to go through here and use your scale, use your inflate, use your move brush, call it a day. So close enough. And we've got our Mickey thing going. Now, you know what? Looking at it from this angle, I'm going to hold down Shift. We're going to turn down my Z intensity on my Shift brush. We're going to smoothen that base. Turn on X symmetry. Smoothen that base, and then go in here and we're going to inflate up this little thing here. This little end of the nose here. So it kind of has a nice little feel like that. Now again, we have X symmetry turned on. This geometry may not be great. You can always go in here and say ZRemesh half. Just adapt the size down to 0, nice even quads, and get yourself some new geometry. In fact, you can keep hitting half, give you less geometry to mess around with. So now it's maybe even easier to kind of dial in these shapes. Same thing for this. Gosh, how do we want to do the eyeballs? Because again, okay, this is where things get iffy. Let's go back to the front here. So we have our sphere here. We've got the black part and then the white part for the lip, and all of this we'll say we'll make it one mesh, and then the ears and the head cap that goes down the back will make another. This might be an instance where we can go in and start sculpting and then mask and ZRemesh and break things out, or you can continue to go through here and, you know, put in some cheek. This is kind of like constructive drawing, right? Where you're starting with primitives and you're going through here and you're drawing with spheres to give yourself things that you can turn in the round a little bit easier, and then you can stick them together. But we'll kind of put in some cheeks that kind of follow this. And then maybe the same thing for the eyes, although the eyes I think we can just draw on and then maybe paint. Paint that on or whatever. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, we've got our body blocked out. So now, if we do want to have a body underneath and then everything all stuck together, I think we're in good shape to do that. We do want to leave the gloves separate, so I'm going to go ahead and turn those off. The shoes we definitely want separate. The head, I'm going to leave the head separate. And in fact, I'm going to alt-tap the ears, and we'll just kind of merge all this stuff down temporarily. There we go. So now just these body, and again, I gotta have a little bit of a neck, just a tiny little bit of something. And I gotta figure out why my IMM brush is doing that. That seems kind of weird. Okay, so this kind of got tilt here. And again, you know what? Let's go ahead and just do a group by normals. So now on all of these, let's make sure we do have, you know, group by normals. The ZSphere stuff doesn't really have great normals. We can go through here and we can do a knife curve and we can pop out bottoms here. Oops. mirror and weld. But I think we'll be okay. So basically, come on, what did I do? Ah, it's on this one. Sorry. Being a dirty modeler. Delete hidden. X-symmetry turned on. Jeez. Okay, so we have all of our primitive shapes. We've got some semblance of a neck in here, and if we want to make these all one mesh, again, you could go to merge visible. I'm going to just stick with my subtool stack here and just merge these down. We have polygroups where we need them. So now if I do a W, let's turn off X-symmetry, go to Unmesh Mesh Center. I'm going to say Remesh by Union, and then again, ZRemesh, still do same, because it is pretty low res. Keep root smooth groups down to 0, X-symmetry turned on. Was X-symmetry turned on? There we go. So now this is all one mesh. And in fact, actually, we'll do a group by normals. There we go. So we got, these arms are not great. It's okay for now. We can always fix that later, I suppose. Let's do double. Better, half. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then we can go through here and we can clean this up a little bit. So again, maybe not super perfect for animation, but good enough for our purposes now. So we'll go ahead and turn everything else back on. And now we've got one singular body with okay geometry. Now we need to put pants on them. So we can steal some of this geometry that exists. And in fact, you know what? Now that I see this, I kind of want to use this geometry to dictate where his pants line is. So I probably should have done this before I committed to a ZRemesh, but I think we'll survive. So I'm going to go ahead and match this pants line with that polygroup here. So as he turns, his butt kind of goes up in the back and then down in the front here. So it's kind of that shape. So we can go through here. I'm going to duplicate off this entire body. Control-Shift-Tap the blue, the pink, and then the first part of the legs. Geometry Modify Topology, delete hidden. We can go through here. In fact, we don't need the blue either. So this is basically all of the pants and then maybe the first 3 of these. So we'll go ahead and get rid of these rings here. Say delete hidden. We can say with our Z-Modeler brush, QMesh polygroup all, we can hold down Shift and just kind of push along those normals. And in fact, we can even go in here and say QMesh polygroup all or all polygons. And then just kind of, this is another way to inflate something. So instead of going in here to deformation, inflate, you can go through here with QMesh all polygons, start pulling on one, and then hold down Shift and just pull along those surface normals. So now we've got kind of an inflated little pair of pants. You know, if you want to redo this, you can say ZRemesh same, give yourself some new geo maybe, if that kind of works, or maybe we'll do a double. Again, I'm not in love with some of this geometry, but again, we should be, you know, this is one of the things where I get caught up in. I could have just started, like was brought up earlier, just a bunch of Z-spheres, go in there and sculpt, and you're good to go instead of messing around with a bunch of primitives. They're both valid, but sometimes sculpting is a little bit funner than this style of modeling, but we'll stick with what we got. So we'll go ahead and close our convex hole here, and then go ahead and close these here. And now we've got basically a little pair of pants on our outfit here. And it looks like we need to really flare. These pants are super flared out. These ones, not so much, you know? So I don't know, maybe we'll split the difference, go through here and say QMesh. We'll switch this back over to polygroup all. We'll flare out these pants just a bit. We'll go in here and massage. Those shapes, you can always go in here, remember, and do a quick polish by feature. Close circle to maintain our volumes a little bit. And then we can go through here and just kind of use our move brush, etc. to kind of make this fit. So now, these buttons on the front, we can just use that. We can kind of follow that geometry. So one thing we can do, we can duplicate this off. I'm going to hit Control D a couple times. I'm going to go into solo mode here. You can literally paint. Let's turn off polyframe. If you want to know where those buttons are supposed to go, you can go into your standard brush or BPA for your paintbrush, which is a standard brush with RGB turned on, and you can literally just paint your drawing on here. So now you're like, okay, that's where my buttons go, right? So just mask where the buttons are. Control W to make it a polygroup. Or there is, let's go down here to geometry, delete lower, and then there is a edge loop mask border. That'll kind of give you this. Geometry modify topology, delete hidden, ZRemesh half, depth size down to 0. And we can go through here and we can kind of, just kind of, you could also like use Matchmaker or an IMM brush with, what's that setting called? Modifiers. Projection strength turned on, but I think this will work fine. Good enough, right? So we'll go through here. We'll say QMesh polygroup all. We'll say crease PG, crease level of 1, smooth subdiv of 2, and now we've got kind of those little buttons stuck to them. Now, another discrepancy. These are kind of elongated. However, these are round. So deleted. We can also, here's part of the problem too. So if we go through here right now, if I have a cylinder here, these cylinders are have a polarized cap with just one point. They're not going to kind of conform to an underlying soft volume like this. So we'll have to, if we want to use the IMM method, we might have to mess around with that a little bit. But anyway, I think that'll work good enough. Also with these too, you can go in here and you can say insert single edge loop. You can hold down Alt and get rid of these and then go back in here and say insert multiple edge loops. If you turn on interactive elevation, remember you can go through here and kind of push and pull these, or you can go through here and just say insert single or double or whatever and just re-add edge loops and then refine them as much as you'd like. So now let's talk about inserting an IMM and having it conform to a mesh, like a button in this case. So again, I'm going to do a quick, just polish by feature. Maybe if I hide this one, I just really want to, I'm going to polish by open circle. Oof, yeah. Another thing you do, you can hold down Shift to start smoothing and then let go of Shift, and that'll also maintain your volume. So that's another smoothing algorithm. So that'll smooth your mesh, but kind of push the geometry across the surface that exists so it doesn't shrink or melt your mesh. Okay, so let's talk about this. So I'm going to take these pants here, duplicate these off. Let's go in, just hold down Shift and turn off this eyeball. So now if I hit Control D, we have a nice soft surface that we want to put buttons on and conform those buttons to the surface. I'm going to do a quick save, which is a hotkey 9 on your keyboard. We're going to go out of edit mode, hit Control N, and I always do that when I get out of regular old ZBrushing. So 2 ways we can do this. I'm going to go in here to Circle 3D. Let's see what this gives me. Yeah, it's not what I really want. Anyway, we'll go back in here. We'll make a cylinder 3D. We'll make ourselves an IMM button. This is just a straight up cylinder. So if you wanted to, we could say, okay, fine, make polymesh 3D. Go in here, group by normals. You can actually get rid of these lines too. If you go in here to geometry edge loop and we say delete loops. So that kind of simplifies that. However, remember, this is just one single point. So I might go in here with X symmetry turned on and say ZRemesh same, depth size down to 0, keep groups, and give ourselves some new geometry in here. Still a cylinder, just a little more geometry to kind of play with here. And in fact, maybe even crease PG, Control D to subdivide, delete lower. So now I got plenty of geo. I can go back in here, insert single W, scoot this down. So now we've got a button that we can, has much better geometry that we can conform to a soft surface. So we'll go, again, quick save. B, create insert mesh new. Okay, good. As we drag this out, we have an insert mesh brush that works. And then we can go down here to our object again. Here's our soft subdivided body. We'll go down here, delete lower. So now we just have geometry. And then as I drag these on, you're going to see, yay, we got buttons, but they're not conforming to my mesh. That's when you need to go in here to modifiers, projection strength up to 100. So now when we drag these out, it's going to conform to our mesh here. So now we'll switch back here and we'll put these buttons somewhere in here. Kind of looks like they're a little more towards the waist in my reference here. And again, I'm just looking at one frame, which again, these guys are elastic and variable, so yeah, front and back. I think these buttons, yeah, up towards the waist, round. So we'll go to the back here, and here's another thing you could do. So if you want these to be the same size, as you're dragging these out, you can hold down Control, and that'll make them the same the size as your brush. So we'll say maybe 20. Let's say 22. Draw size 22. So as I drag these out, hold down Control, it'll snap to that size, and then on the back, same deal. And that way you have, it's conforming to your mesh, it's the exact same size. If you want these buttons to be on a separate piece of your mesh, Control-Shift-Drag over a little piece of the pants, Control-Shift-A. And in fact, in this case, we can Control-Shift-Drag, Geometry Modify Topology, Delete Hidden, because we duplicated our working pants off in order to do that. So anyway, that sounded kind of weird as I was talking through it, but I hope that makes sense. Yes, Happy New Year with some Pavlovich workshop. Yeah, exactly. You can sign hotkey. ZSphere modeling intuitive cumbersome media is still the optional way to. For me, it is, and in fact, as far as like it being cumbersome, I've used ZModeler so much that I find it actually more cumbersome to use like Max Miyamoto Blender Cinema 4D, because I'm like, hey, I just have a polygroup here and I want to inset this polygroup here, but in other programs I'm like, oh, I can save a selection set. Boo, boring, difficult, crappy. Polygroups are awesome, as well as this may seem like a lot, but really I only use like 5 or 6 things, so it's basically memorizing where they are, and then it's super easy and super fast. So I'm faster with, weirdly enough, I'm faster with ZModeler than I am going in there and making face selections and edge selections. And it seems like I make a lot more selections in other programs when I'm hard surface modeling, whereas in ZBrush, I don't spend all my time sitting there making damn face selections. In fact, I rarely, if ever, make face selections because I got polygroups. But in other programs, I'm just sitting there constantly just kind of making face selections. So anyway, these are kind of ugly gloves, but we can fix those. Skinny legs, skinny arms. In fact, if you want to make them skinny now, they're stuck to the body, you can go there and hold down Alt and then just kind of move those around. We can put these back here into the shoulder area a little bit better here. And yeah, we can start figuring out how we want to do the head, because that's something I don't quite have a great handle on here. So let's think about this. We do have a neck. I'm going to go in here to move. Wait, I don't have to do that because these are all one object, right? Yeah. So we do have a little bit of a neck here, but maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. I'm going to leave the neck in there just in case I need it. But here's our head. Now, if we're going to be doing expressions and big smiles and stuff, I'm going to be probably doing a bespoke face. I'm not going to sit here and try to make the perfect anatomy for that. But we can at least set up a default and kind of a neutral-ish head. One of those things could be a lower lip. So I'm going to turn off X symmetry. I'm going to go in here to B. Oh, you know what? This is not going to work, is it? It's curved tube. It should have... Oh, does it work now? Stroke. Modifiers. Wait, what am I looking for here? Curve functions. So this is a curve brush, and bend start, bend end. Snap is turned off, but it does seem to be... Oh yeah, it's not submitting in my server. So if we turn on snap, okay, yeah, it actually snaps to our surface now. So you can actually use this as a way to kind of get you some geometry. So I do Shift D. Yeah, it's got kind of like a lower lip here. So we can go through here and we can just kind of drag on. You'll notice that, it's not working. I don't know. Some camera angles it works, some it doesn't. And anyway, you can just, I don't know. I have a custom brush that snaps to the surface, but I'm not going to deal with that. Just go in here and kind of move it around. So here's the lower lip. I'm going to do a quick, you know, we'll just unmask, geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld, and good enough. And then we can Control-Shift-Tap this, and this will kind of be our lower lip geometry here. Shift to smooth. Yeah, good enough. Oh, I do want to, so whenever I'm, you know, mirror and weld, X to go across X symmetry here, all of this geometry that's kind of weird, I can always ZRemesh it. We've done that enough, right? We can move stuff together. So I can go through here and move all of this. If all these shapes are kind of there and you kind of just want to move them around, again, we can use our, so we can kind of go through here and move all the shapes around, and then we can hop out of here. And if I want to move just one of these, I can go in here to my move brush, and then there is auto masking in here. And we can turn on topological. We'll turn that range down. And now the first thing you touch, oops, what brush was I on? Okay, turn off topological for standard brush. Go to my move brush. Turn on topological. You can change the range. And then now the first thing you touch, you can go through here and just move around that one piece. If you want to go through here and just kind of move this stuff around, you can. In fact, if you make your draw size 1, you can go through here with move topological, and you can move individual components around. No problem. Instead of W control tapping something and using your gizmo. Yes. Okay. So again, the lower lip here, and on the back here, we'll kind of put this in here. Alrighty, so now the ears, let's go ahead and keep these out for now. I'm going to say split, and then the nose here, same deal. And let's figure out this right now. So we have this, geometry, modify topology, mirror, and weld across the x-axis. If I want to, I can go in here and say remesh by union, ZRemesh or half, depth size down to 0, keep groups, smooth groups down to 0. Give us some, oops, X symmetry turned on before you do that. So this will give us some new decent geometry. We can go in here, we'll do a slight polish by feature, and then do a ZRemesh or half again. So here we have some decent quad geometry we can go through and sculpt on. It's okay. However, we got some eyeball stuff we need to do. So here, I'm going to duplicate, because we got the whites of the eyes, the white of the muzzle, and then the black of the back of the head here. The eyes, I'm going to have a separate object. I'm going to use this pre-existing geometry to create it. Okay, I think I have a path forward. So I'm going to duplicate this head geometry off. I'm going to hit Control D a couple times to get some resolution. We'll say delete lower. Again, I'm going to center this head a little bit here. We're going to turn off polyframe. Again, BPA, RGB brush. Go in here and we'll kind of paint on where things are. And then we're going to go to our other camera view and we're going to paint on where things are. And now we have an idea of where our features should go. So here you can see the cheek line's kind of cutting through here, whereas my cheek kind of goes up. We can sculpt that down. In fact, if you go in here to render, there is a fade opacity. So you can fade the opacity of your poly paint, or you can go in here with a RGB intensity lowered a little bit, white selected, color, fill object a couple times. We can kind of knock that back. So instead of doing our button conform, you can also say, hey, we got this object here. We can go do an extraction. So I can say, hey, give me eyeballs. So we're going to go through here and we're going to do a mask here where the eyeballs are. And you could duplicate this off and clean up those edges and extrude it, and that'll give you thickness. You can also go down here to extract. We'll go ahead and keep the smoothness on. Thickness. Let me see here. Thickness. Ugh. You know what? Maybe I won't do an extraction. Extractions are cool. Extractions are fun. Seems like there's a rhyme there somewhere. I could keep going. But I think in our case, maybe I'm such a control freak. You can do an extraction. You can clean this extraction up. I think what I'm going to do is duplicate this off again. I'm going to go ahead and say edge loop mask border again. underneath our edge loops. We're going to Control-Shift-Tap this, delete hidden, ZRemesh half, depth size down to 0. We don't technically need groups on. Sorry, I thought I saw a little artifact there. We'll go through here, and I'm just going to give myself, so again, this does conform to the surface. We can go through here and give this thickness, so we don't inset. We'll do a Q-mesh, hover over face, Q-mesh, polygroup all. So we'll put some eyeballs on here. We'll make that a little bit thicker here. In this case, if we do a crease PG, that'll work, but then our corners don't stay sharp. So I might go through here and do a group by normals, geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. And again, it kind of gets wobbly through here, so I'm going to do a polish by feature open circle, tap, tap, tap. Kind of ruined our shape, but we can go back through here. It's actually not terrible. You can go through here and you can kind of just, still have topological turned on. We can just move this around as needed because it conforms enough, I suppose. Anyway, I don't know. Multiple ways to skin a cat. Let's also move these apart maybe a little bit. Kind of have some eyes going. Okay, now going back to this. Let's go ahead and unmask this. Let's go out of polyframe mode. Again, we have basically where our eyeballs go through here. This is all just like an eyeball mass, which is interesting, physiologically speaking. And then all of this is so this is going to be like the cheek, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through here and mask where that kind of iconic head shape goes. And then kind of continue this mask here, and we'll just kind of say that's where the muzzle goes. Now, I want to fill in the mask all back here. So of course we can now use our masking. We can say mask region. Let's see, auto? No. Analyze region, mask in here, fill region. And then we'll go ahead and clean this up. And if we do want this to be a separate piece, and we've already duplicated this off, right? Yep, original head, and then this head here. Yeah, let's go back in here. I'm going to just hit Control W instead of edge loop mask border. We'll Control Shift Tap, geometry modify topology, delete hidden. We'll do a polish by feature open circle just to smooth those edges out. ZRemesh half. We do have X symmetry turned on. I'm going to go in here. Again, we'll just keep hitting ZRemesh half just to give us a nice simple shape. And then now we can go through here and we kind of pull this down. And we'll go through here and say Q-mesh polygroup all. Now we don't even have to commit to that. We can literally go in here and say, give me dynamic. If we turn on dynamic by default, it smooths it out. But you can turn down smooth subdivision and just add some thickness. So you can, right now it's offset is at 0, so it's adding thickness forward and back. If you do offset of -100, then your thickness just goes in. Offset of 100, now the thickness just goes out. So you know what, we can just dial in a little bit of thickness here that we don't have to commit to. Makes things a little bit easier to see. We can go through here and move stuff around, and then when we're ready to commit, then we can go through and do that. So, and again, I'm just going to kind of look through here, and we'll kind of push and pull some stuff around. Yeah, I think this goes back way too far, actually. I don't think I was that far off with these cheeks, honestly, looking at this. I think that's actually a little bit closer. But anyway, yeah, now that you know how to do that, pretty simple. So I'm going to go with my instincts here. I'm not going to follow too closely to the drawn net. This is where I'm starting to like just kind of leave my reference and my, I got my proportions dialed in enough. So now I can just go through here and have a little bit more fun, just kind of playing around with the overall shapes here. Let me just scoot this stuff around, sorry. There we go. So I'm going to go through here. I'm going to give him a little bit more, some mask and invert that. A little bit more of a snout. Move this up just a tiny bit here. Got the head and the cheek. Eyeballs. This might actually be a little bit problematic. Y'all know how to do this now. And in fact, we could even use our button to go through there and just do the rounded eyeballs. I think that'll be good enough. And then we can go through there and mask this out. So anyway, we got the start of our character here, and we can start making our other character if we want. Drop in a new parameter to the symmetry, make it snap to the 0x axis. If you append one, yeah, it should. If appending any primitive like a torus, it should just, or a ring in this case, it should put it right at the 0, 0, 0 spot. There. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as the ears turn, as the head turns in an animation, they kind of do some wacky. They're just aesthetic for the frame, which is totally fine, but not so easy to do in 3D. Dark oval under the button to show the buttons are holding the pants. The reference says the round button's missing. That's true. Yeah, you can. Honestly, a lot of this can just be texture. It doesn't even have to be models necessarily. Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure about the particulars of the dates and stuff, but okay. So we got a character here. Really quickly, I'm gonna delete these pupils. I'm going to duplicate this off, subdivide it up a few times, delete lower. Actually, you know what? This is something too we should probably talk about. So if I go in here and delete this, when I duplicated this off, if I just go through here and start subdividing, you're going to see it kind of melts or averages the verts in here. You can also go in here and say crease PG. That'll maintain those borders a little bit nicer, kind of maintain that geometry. And then again, I'm going to delete lower so we can go back to our insert mesh button, and then we can just drag this out. This is already set up to kind of conform. Can I do an elongated version of this? I can. So let's go back to our working button here, do a quick save. So we already have our button here, right? I'm going to do a version of this that is stretched out like this. So now I'm going to hit, again, with this mesh here, B, create insert mesh, append. Okay. So now I have a round version for buttons and then a elongated version for the eyeballs. Still has the same, it should still both conform. So now when I drag this out, it'll go ahead and conform, and then we can just say, you know, split mask points or whatever. And now we've got eyeballs there. Yay. Okay. Do I want to stick those ears? I don't know why this is so. This is where I get all in my head, where I'm like, ooh, how do I want to do this for demo and make it interesting and show features, but then also want to just kind of be messy and, you know, just get stuff done. That's the struggle. That's always my struggle. So anyway, let's go through here and be a little bit messy. I'm going to go through here, Alt tap the head. And by messy, I just mean actually having fun and not being so technique driven, which is always my downfall. So again, holding down shift, letting go of shift, we're going to go through here and just kind of refine and resolve some of these volumes and again, have a little bit more fun. And then once we get stuff kind of positioned where we want, again, we'll just duplicate this off, crease PG, Control D. Let's go ahead and turn this off here. Go ahead and smooth this out. So now, Control D one more time. So in this case, I wonder if we can actually use, I'm going to say, check this out. We'll do delete. Because we haven't done, so we've done the pupils, but we haven't done the eyeball mask yet, but that's just like part of his face. It's not even like the blacks of the eyes move around, but it's not, Okay, so we're going to say delete lower. Let's do, so the cheeks and the snout, we just need the red. Geometry modified topology, delete hidden. From the side view, this I think we can just say Control Shift slice, or we could go through here and do like a slice circle, but we may have to like tilt the head a little bit. Or we can just go in and mask. Because again, I like my cheeks. This would go here for the eyeball mass, cheeks, and that just kind of swings back around. And this would kind of just go to a point. Okay, I think that's good enough. We're going to call this our eyeball mass here. Control-Alt-Tap to sharpen that up. And then we'll double check this with our front view here. Again, just the eyeball mass. Oh, we also need to kind of maybe move these down a little bit. This is the part where I should probably just be trusting my instincts, looking at my reference, making good judgment calls, not being a slave to my reference here. But boy, it's difficult when you have no confidence. Okay, so there's my eyeball mass, which means the rest of this, I think underneath the lip, yeah, I think this is just going to be our head part of our mesh. So we duplicated this off, right? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Control W, Control Shift Tap, Geometry Modify Topology, Delete Hidden, X Symmetry on ZRemesh. Let's do a quick Polish by Feature Open Circle, ZRemesh half, yeah. Not in love with this, but we can go through here and we can do a slide by brush radius. You can go through here and kind of slide this geometry around. Okay, and then again, Q Mesh Polygroup All or Dynamic Add Thickness. Good enough. Alrighty, so okay, we got the buttons, we got the pants. On these pants, we can go through here and we can do an inset, Polygroup All Legacy, pull these in, maybe do another inset, again Q Mesh, push these in, crease PG, D for dynamic, we'll do a crease level of 2, smooth div of 3. That'll kind of give us a little bit of a fall off there. Same thing for the body. You know what, this one might be able to hit D for dynamic. It's good enough. Boy, I kind of mingled these arms, didn't I? We'll say inflate these and hold down Shift and let go of Alt. Just to kind of even that geometry out just a little bit. And then here, we'll kind of, you know what, we'll go in here with our inflate brush. Low intensity inflate. Kind of puff those cheeks out a little bit. A little more chubby cheek look. Snout looks okay. We'll hit D for dynamic. Shift. Let go of Shift. Smooth that out just a little bit here. Again, crease PG. And again, these are just kind of placeholder. Nothing too crazy. D for dynamic, crease level of 1. This one will be interesting. So if we are happy with this generally, which I kind of am, I think it's got the right eyeball shape. Maybe a little pointier here. All right, so we're ready to commit. We have, that's a little bit weird, but I guess we'll live with it. So right now this isn't real thickness. If I do Shift D, it just turns it off and it's just plain sitting there, right? And then if I hit D, that shows thickness. So we can go through here and we can say dynamic apply. Now, if we turn on dynamic again, it adds more thickness. We don't want to do that, but we can add smooth now, but it's not maintaining our corners. So we can do crease PG and that'll crease our polygroups, but it's not going to keep these crease. So we'll go through here and just do a crease underneath your crease, geometry crease menu. And that'll, any corners that are sharp, that'll go ahead and crease those for us. So now that we have real geometry, we can go back in here again, polish by feature, close circle. We can smooth some of this out. And I think we got stuff pretty smooth. We'll hit D for dynamic on the gloves here, which again are fairly mangled, but again, I think we can live with it. And then these pants here, we'll do D for dynamic, crease level 2, smooth set of a 3. We'll go through here and maybe kind of widen these out a little bit. All right, and then for the ears here, now this is something to consider too. I can leave the ears just kind of stuck in there, or I can try and Boolean these together and ZRemesh the result. It might actually look nicer. Let's give it a shot. I'm gonna hold down Shift, shoot this down to the bottom, Alt tap this head part, Shift, shoot this down to the bottom, isolate just these two. And I can Boolean these together. But I don't want that to kind of stick through here. So I'm going to Alt tap here. I'm going to say Z Modeler Brush, Q Mesh Polygroup All. Hold down Shift and just kind of pull this in so we have a lot of thickness on the inside here. And then, so we've got polygroups here. I'm going to do a quick group by normals because I want to maintain that sharpness. These already have polygroups here. So I'll merge these down. W, remesh by union. ZRemesh, same. Okay, that actually worked pretty good. I was gonna say what you could do is do a dynamic subdivision union like we did earlier, where you keep the really smooth stuff because again, when you had that low res geometry, it's kind of faceted. But I think it worked great, honestly. And let me just see. It's not mirrored, but I'm okay with that kind of. I can go back and mirror it. Let's see. X symmetry turned on. Keep groups. Yeah, that works fine. We can say crease BG, crease level of 1, smooth set div of 2, or maybe crease level of 2, smooth set div of 3. And also just run another crease so we maintain that nice sharp middle section here. So now these are all stuck together. We can sculpt do that. I'll turn everything else back on. We can even do a little bit of an inflate here, but it might do something weird. I don't hate it. Or you can go back, Alt tap here, and you can kind of shrink down some of this geometry that's interpenetrating. Honestly, I liked having that a little bit thicker on the ears and the head. It was appealing to me, so I'll just do that. And this is still a little weird to me, but I think I can live with it for now. So here's something we can do real quick. It's almost 8 o'clock. Boy, this took longer than I thought. I figured we were going to have a whole bunch of stuff done, but I was a little verbose, I suppose. So anyway, let me see if I can remember the steps to do this here. So we've modeled our character. We do have, there's like we were talking about earlier, here's my YouTube channel. It's a little bit more organized now. The Real Illusion Character Creator ZBrush, going through here and just taking any ZBrush character and throwing it over here. So let's give that a shot. Let me see if I can get this to work, because I think it'll be fun. So open this up. We got our character here. I feel like, as usually I've been so used to taking their mesh and bringing it in, and the scale's already done, but now I have to think. So let me see if I remember the order of operations here and embarrass myself. Z plugin, pose tools, pose list. We can resize. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, so back in ZBrush. You know what? We can just color. We can color fill. I think we'll be okay. Okay, I can do this. And it's just dynamic, right? We don't have a ton of geometry. Okay, I think we can do this. ZBrush pose tools. Oops, something just beeped at me. Sure. Okay, so ZBrush pose tools. We're going to send this over. Let's go ahead and okay, I'm going to make him We'll switch over to feet. I'll make him very small. Well, not very small. Sorry, it's 5 feet tall. That's not very small. Resize. Yes. Okay. I think I go Z stuff over, right? If I have all this showing, 4, 5, 6, 7, everything's named something different. Go Z all. You know, I did a whole series on this, and I don't remember the damn steps. Or do I merge everything together? Oh, I bet I merge everything together, right? Here, okay, and then these are all just props. I don't remember the steps. Oh man, I need to go open my notes. But you should be able to go through here, rig up the character, add color, have it dance around, do really cool stuff. I just don't remember the steps. I guess I could look them up real quick. I got a few minutes. Or I can go watch my own thing. You know what? Let's just test this. Let's say, yep, generate my skeleton. I'm just doing a test real quick because I honestly don't remember. Bind skin. Resizing. Go Z. Go Z AccuRig. No, these are all separate. Go Z. Launch character creator. I think I'm doing it right-ish. And then hop out of AccuRig. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I was on the right track. Not quite as dumb as I thought I was. Okay, let's do this again. No. Okay, so pretty simple. We have our objects here. Everything's all laid out. We're going to say go Z all. I remembered. How little confidence, Mike. Update. Okay, so we got a bunch of stuff in here that isn't named because just sheer laziness. But what I can do is go in here to, you know what, we'll save the materials for later. So we're going to choose the very top character node. We're going to go in here and we're going to say AccuRig. And it's going to put him up on the floor here. We're going to say create guides. That's going to look at the model and kind of place guides based on a humanoid form. The fingers are going to have to be kind of tweaked a little bit. So it's going through here and looking at our model and saying, okay, I think I know where a head is. I think I know where an elbow is, but we need to go and, you know, tell it a little bit more information. So this one should be kind of at the base of the ear, base of the head. I think that's okay. This one should be kind of where the neck inserts with the body, which is there. There's not much of a neck to speak of. This one, the clavicle, so the neck out to the shoulder, and we do have X symmetry turned on, so and also force symmetry and midpoint placement, so it's putting it right in the middle of our geometry is what we want. This is where our elbow is, so I think our elbow is kind of in that area, and then this is where our wrist is, so that needs to be back up here. It's got weird hands. So now this is where our pelvis is, and that needs to go way down here, and then also back. And if you ever need to, you can turn off midpoint placement if it's giving you, oof, yeah, it's doing something weird. Let me scooch this over. I'm going to turn off midpoint placement temporarily. Kind of just scoot those where they need to be and then turn that back on. Knees are pretty good. And then ankle, pretty good. And then this is where the feet kind of bend. So yeah, I guess that's about right. Okay, yep. And then we're going to say generate skeleton, and this is going to give us where our fingers need to go. Let's see, drop a new primitive. Yes. So here, yes. Sorry, I'm getting caught up. Mesh extract. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, mesh extract is a... I don't use extract as much as I should. Okay, so now these things are obviously problematic, so we are going to have to go through here and say, hey, this is actually the pinky. Oof, boy, these weren't even close, huh? And so this might take a little bit of work, but it's totally worth it. And when we go to skin, should work a little bit better. We do have X symmetry turned on and midpoint placement turned on. Again, this isn't going to be perfect. I'm hustling. I'm going quick. So bear with me, but you know, go through here, take your time. We're just going to have a little bit of fun here. And then this goes kind of this parallel. That's all straight. Whoa, what is this one? End of thumb. Good enough. And then the thumb's going to bend this way. Okay, so I'm going to go through here. Oh, you know what? Oh. I should have done number of fingers because he only has 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. That's why I was having problems. Can I undo all this? Yes, I can. Okay, 4. 1, 2, 3, and a thumb is 4. Generate skeleton. Okay, sorry. I think it does. That is kind of a Magneto helmet. It's that widow's peak, that built-in widow's peak. There we go. Look at that. When you add the right number of fingers, it actually figures it out for you. How smart. Okay, so we're going to back these off just a tad. Here. And I do have a Rococo mocap suit, but I don't think we're going to have time. But what I could do is go through there and do my Steamboat Willie overlap and follow through circular animation that I love so much. I could mocap that. Okay, so I think we've got everything in here. We're going to go ahead and say bind skin. And then I'm going to go and mess around with the shading mode. We're going to smooth them a little bit. We're going to add some black and white to his materials. And then we're going to have him dance around a little bit. And we're going to call it a day right on time. 8 o'clock. Give this a second to calculate our skin weights here. All right, so now we have our character selected. I'm going to go over here to our materials. Unfortunately, it's all PBR. There is a diffuse color that I can change. Okay, so anyway, we're still in AccuReg, so I'm going to hop out of AccuReg. Everything should be bound correctly. Now with the character selected, I'm going here to materials. I'm going to change the diffuse color for this to... Nope, that should still be generally white. Sorry, I'm just going to work my way down the list because I didn't name anything because I'm not smart. There we go. So this will be that color. And then next is... Should I make them red? Ooh, that's scary. I don't think I'm going to make them red. I think I'm going to keep them. Let me look at my reference. White and white and white. Yep. So everything's about right. Let's see. Again, I don't know what these go to. Name your stuff, folks. White shoes. go. Now we're getting somewhere. Yes. Yes. Oops. And in fact, if we wanted to, we could say okay. And I think you could load up like, again, we could even do this with the painter pipeline. Maybe I will. Not for the live stream, but maybe I'll go in here after the fact. So we're going to go through here. We're just going through here and changing this. And it looks like I've messed up the eyeballs here. There we go. We'll hit OK. So now we've got our character here. I'm going to take this top one and we're going to say subdivision just to kind of smooth everything out. And then we'll go in here and do a we might need to do a little bit of an offset. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, we got a dancing Mickey. Sorry, Steamboat Willie. Yeah, we might have to do a little bit of an arm offset to kind of get his arms out from his body, but you get the idea here. Let's go in here to content, animation, motion. You know, we can even just do this. Do. Yeah, I don't know. You get the idea. Huh. Okay, well, anyway. Thanks, everybody. You make your own little Steamboat Willie. This is Character Creator. And again, just for resource purposes, if you want, here's my YouTube channel all organized. So here's the ZRemesh What's New playlist with the Intro to ZRemesh series. Real-Illusion Character Creator, what we just did is right here under ZRemesh Posing. If you want to go a little deeper, we got the body pipeline and the face tools pipeline. Here's all of the live stream episodes. This will be here on my YouTube channel. So here's a bunch of YouTube stuff. And if you're ever looking for something where you're like, what is he always talking about? Like Z-Modeler? Well, you can type in Z-Modeler and then here, Z-Modeler Basics. Bunch of Z-Modeler videos you can watch. As well as on my ArtStation channel. Here's the ZRemesh What's New. Here's the Intro to ZRemesh series, 51 videos, get you caught up in ZRemesh, how to use it. And then all the What's New stuff all the way back to ZRemesh 4R8. A bunch of videos in here, as well as what we were just talking about, Real-Illusion Character Creator stuff, and any of the live stream stuff that I've done over the years, all organized, and then some presentation stuff where I talk about stuff. So anyway, there's these resources too, maybe a little bit easier to sort through. Whew, we did it. We made it. Thanks, everybody. Absolutely. I wouldn't say, yeah, these are the steps. And in fact, how we made this is actually probably a little bit stodgy. You can go in there and just sculpt. You don't have to go in and do primitives and Booleans. This is more like techniques. But as far as like, yeah, like it was mentioned earlier, ZSpheres, clay brush, we didn't even use Dynamesh. And Dynamesh is awesome to use in ZBrush. So yeah, you can just go in here and sculpt and just, you know, do all sorts of cool stuff. You don't have to do it the way we did, but yeah, 12-year-old can easily do everything we've done. That's a good point as far as the reason to have 4 fingers. I never put that together. Yes, Character Creator. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Buddy, I'll let you get back to it and catch you on the flip side. Let me turn this off. There we go. Bye, everybody. Thank you.